Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I'm your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Well, Joe, I hope you have your handy-dandy textbook of Bleach magic mechanics right next to you, because we have a lot to talk about.
We do indeed have something in my throat. Sorry, what'd you say?
I was just saying that it was my cock in your throat.
Oh, big funny. This man has jokes, everybody. Big claps for the big joke man. Anyway, Bleach, Core 1 finale, episode 12 and 13. We have been a little bamboozled. They've been advertising it as a 1 hour special type of dealio. In no way does this equate to 1 hour. Even if you put together 24 and 24 minutes, which is what this is with credits and everything like that. That's 48 minutes, bitch. You're 12 minutes shy. Episode 12 and 13. We start off with just everything but the rain, June Truth. And it is, as you might expect, just a complete continuation from the previous episode, bringing us in. We're seeing everyone. We're seeing Misaki. We're seeing Ishin. I love how it starts off where Ishin is clearly liked by Yamamoto, because Yamamoto's just rattling off all the all the fucking rules that he broke. In my head, I'm like, he's about to get a big scolding from head teach, and Yamamoto is just like, but you did save quite a few people, so you know what? I'm gonna let this slide. And he's just like, oh, thank you, Captain Yamamoto. And he's just like,
everybody
yeah, okay.
loves Ishin. He's just the fucking man.
He really is. He seems like the most personable captain to be around. And then you have, like, you know, could you imagine trying to hang around with Byakuya? Could you fucking imagine being like, hey, Byakuya, you want to go get some drinks? And he's like...
I mean, maybe Shunsui. Shunsui seems kind of chill.
Maybe. Anyway, so Ishin is just daydreaming one day. Or not daydreaming, he's, like, lazying around. And he's like, I wonder what happened to that chick. I should probably go and, like, thank her properly at some point. And, of course, we then cut back to regular world. And we see Misaki just going through school, and then she's leaving. And then something happens, Joe, that I'm kind of like, I could really like this, but it's not set up properly. Because Misaki, on her way home, she's talking with her girly girls. They're having a little bit of fun, like, ooh, you banging Ryuku, whatever. And she's like, no, we're going to be family. And they're like, this is an anime. That could totally happen. And she's like, I know. But incest tag is not on this anime, so that whoop, out the window that goes. And Misaki bumps into Urahara. And of course, she doesn't know who the fuck he is. We, of course, know who the fuck he is. But it's at this moment she starts feeling something happening. Clearly, she's being affected from the fight that happened the night before, after the Black Hole, that is ironically named White, ends up biting her and passing on, as Aizen says, whatever fucking holification power he's got going on in there into her. Something's happening to her. And I like the fact that, of course, someone dealing with the holification would be noticed by Urahara. But the fact that he just kind of, by the grace of God, bumps into her on the fucking sidewalk at that very moment that she's beginning this, like, transformation. And then he's like, oh, what the fuck was that I just felt out of this random school child? What in the hell? I was like, okay, it's not that big of a deal, grand scheme, but, you know, I would just love it if it was something along the lines of, like, maybe Urahara took notice that there was some whack shit going on the last couple of nights. And so he witnessed, you know, Ishin fighting Black Hollow, ironically named White. And then he witnessed that thing bite into Misaki. And then he was like, oh shit, I don't really know what's going on here, but I don't think that was normal. And maybe I should keep tabs on her.
I interpreted it as that Kisuke knew what happened, and he was kind of like keeping an eye on what happened, and like he's like, all right, let me go check out what's happening. But really, he knew who Misaki was and did it on purpose.
Right. That's what I would like to interpret it as. The problem with that is we are given fucking nothing to clarify that. Like, there's no scene in the previous episode where he's like watching from the shadows, right?
Yeah, this is just all comes down to interpretation again, just nitpicky stuff. But yeah, if you interpret it as like they just accidentally one in a million bumped into each other, then yeah, it's kind of weird. This also gets back to the fact of like, oh, everything happens in Karakura Town, you know what I mean? But like,
yes,
there's some storytelling constraints you just have to work with.
Sure, and I would have loved it if it was like, no, I've been watching from a distance, but again, he just doesn't fucking say that. Like, literally something like that could have helped so much with this, but don't want to get too bogged down on that right now. Anyway, so Masaki is she's going through a rough patch right now. She comes home, Mama Ishida is just like, hey, you go out and help a Soul Reaper last night? And she's like, no. And she's like, don't you fucking lie to me. We're fucking racists in this household, and I will raise you no differently. Ryu is immediately like, oh shit, Katagiri, and he goes in there and he fucking slams her against the wall, and that little, not the incest tag, but the little hentai tag is coming back. It's like peeping on in, and everyone's like, get the fuck out of here, it's not that kind of show yet. And it's like, okay. So they just have I say conversation. He more yells at her like, what the fuck did you do? It's like Dumbledore being like, Harry, did you put your name like all over the fire? But he's more along the lines of like, I told you nothing happened last night. You were supposed to keep this on the DL, girl. What the fuck are you doing? And she was very adamant, being like, okay, no, she got attacked by a weird ass hollow. We need your parents to help her in case anything happens. And of course, speak of the devil, she fucking collapses and a goddamn hollow hole erupts in her chest with like pulsating veins and shit. And you're just like, oh shit. So Ryu is immediately just like, all right, grabbing her, leaving, bouncing out of here. Mama Ishida is like, you fucking leave. And then he leaves anyway. And she's like, I can't follow you, because I guess she's got something wrong with her leg. We get that little shot of like deterioration around her ankle. So he's kind of like flying around, and then he's about to get attacked by a hollow. Ishin pops up because he's all like, hey, I'm here to give my thanks to that teenage girl who saved me a little while ago. And he's like, fuck you, it's because of you that she's like this. And he's like, what? And their head flops down, and he's like, oh shit, okay. And then Urahara, God bless him, he comes in, he's like, all right, everyone shut the fuck up, follow me right now. And they're just like, we have no better option going on. So we learn, because Urahara has he makes a vaccine and blah, blah. We don't need to explain every last fucking detail of this shit. Basically, what you need to know, Quincy, Masaki, that's what she is. She's a Quincy. Her Quincy powers are fusing with the hollow powers. So to counteract that, she needs to be tethered to someone who is both human and Soul Reaper, because human counteracts hollow, and Soul Reaper counteracts Quincy. So, Ryukin, he can't do anything, and he is told flat out by Urahara, you're useless here, dude. We can't utilize you. Ishin, however, you are Soul Reaper, and I have a Giga that's also part human that I made over here in the back. Don't ask me when I made it, it doesn't fucking matter. But if we combine you with this, you will lose literally everything about you being a Soul Reaper. You won't be able to see hollows, you won't have any of your powers back, and you'll be tethered to this girl for the rest of your goddamn life. But you'll help her. Like, you'll keep her at a neutral state, so she can't ever go back to the way she was, but she will be okay. And he's just like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I love the reaction from Ryukin and even Urahara, because both of them, Ryukin, very much like Uryu, stick up his ass, pessimistic, wouldn't believe ever that someone would give up that much just for someone they barely even know. And immediately Ishin is just like, I'll do it. Like, of course I'll do it. This girl saved my life. If I denied paying that back because I wanted to keep my Soul Reaper powers, I'd be a complete asshole. Obviously I'm going to miss them, but this is the right choice. This is the only choice in my opinion. So he gets put into the Gigai, and then you catch up with like everything from like the flashback pretty much up to present. I like how Ishin also has a Gets a Good 10 show. I don't know.
Yes, isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I was kind of looking at it. I was like, can you pass on techniques through people? And I was thinking about it for a second, and I was like, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. It's cool as fuck.
Some people have pointed this out, and I didn't think of it, but Ichigo's original Bankai is basically how quick he is, right? He's like crazy fast. And if you remember, White's traits was that he was crazy fast too, all in black. So a lot of people are hypothesizing that Ichigo's Bankai, the effects of it, came from White.
That's so fucking cool, especially because later on we find out the way the powers fuse and everything like that. They get explained in episode 13. We'll get to that, because that is dude. That's cool as hell. And then he tells us about Masaki on the day she died. End of episode 12, first part of the finale, we get the little explanation of what happened to both Uryu and Ichigo's mothers, because they both died, not in the exact same way, but they had similar things happen to them and then they died. Real quick, pet peeve again, they do the same fucking thing, where they cut to credits, and then you have 3 minutes minimum of actual shit that you need that is fucking detrimental, dare I say, Joe, to the watching experience of episode 12 leading in to episode 13. I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it. But I digress. Finally, after all this tangenting, we see what happened to the moms. Turns out, Ichigo's mother died 9 years ago. And if you've been paying attention at all to the fucking Quincy King bullshit, 900 years, he regained his pulse. 90 years, he regained his mind, or whatever the fuck, 9 years strength, blah, 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 blah. So 9 years ago, the Quincy King basically just rescinded all of the Quincy powers from those he deemed unworthy to be holding them. And so obviously Masaki being completely tainted by this weird holified creature, whatever the fuck it was, he was like, nope, mine now. And then I think the explanation for why Uryu's mother was like revoked of her Quincy powers was because she was frail and weak. And he was like, you have no place in my army. So he just took them away. And I guess she died from being a frail bitch. And then Ichigo's mom died because she was fighting Grand Fisher. And I don't have powers anymore. You're getting stabbed by a goddamn fingernail. And now Ichigo is fucking pissed and determined. Like, you can see, I love the fucking facial expression that he has, where it's just the hatching lines that, motherfucker, that was a goddamn manga panel right there. But he just raises his head and he just says to his father, he's like, thanks. Like, thank you for telling me. Now I know what I need to know. He goes outside and the episode ends in a kind of nice way where it's the it's the Unagi lady. She's there and she's like, hey, you dropped this, and it was his substitute Soul Reaper battle pass. He takes it, he's like, thanks, and then he says to his dad, who, mind you, is still in Soul Reaper form. He just has a quick little aside to him, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, what does Unagi lady think he's doing? Because she doesn't see him. So what does she think Ichigo's talking to?
I assumed she walked away because by next episode when Mira shows up to bring him back, Unagi lady's not there. So I'm like, okay, maybe like they did like a quick little like cut, like, oh, she walked away and now he's out there, and it's
okay,
like, Dad, I need to go.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So Mira appears and she's like, hey, Ichigo, we're bringing you, you're going back. And he's like, sweet, because he didn't have any other way to get back to Soul Society. But so he appears there, and Blade God's there, and he's back in the fucking pit with all the Asauchi. And Blade God's just like, hey, so you get it now. Have at it, take your pick. I get the impression he wasn't really expecting this, Blade God that is, because as Ichigo turns around to face all the Asuchis, they all start like kneeling to him as he's walking through them, and they change to like different black forms, like instead of being gray or whatever, they like fade to black. And then he finds the one, it's the thing in the fucking OP, where he holds out his hand, and the Asuchi brings his hand up and meets his, and as he grabs it, it starts to peel into white, and it's got the fucking hollow mask on it, and I'm like, that
cool as fuck, right?
It's
cool
like,
as fuck.
It's such cool imagery. It's so good.
Oh,
and
fucking cool.
It's so good. Great imagery. Love it. Cut away from that real quick, because we're going to see Toshiro, the 69 face tattoo guy, Miori, Soifone, Komamura, all these guys, all doing their own training. A lot of them obviously had their Bankai stolen. Some of them are trying to train up to get Bankai.
Or their lieutenant. Yeah, trying to train their lieutenants. A lot of the captains are like, look, mine didn't get stolen. Or like, hey, I'm all right, but we got to make sure if something happens to me, you can step up.
Yeah, all of you are the insurance policies.
Seeing the other visored put on her mask, because obviously the captain is also visored or whatever, kind of throw on the mask. I was like, whoa! I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I wanted to see more hollow mask.
Man, there's so much shit they want to try and get through, so it's just like, you get a little bit here, you get a little bit there. Komamura is fighting his Grandello, which is just a giant fucking dog. I'm just like, okay, sure. Toshiro is back to the basics, training with some sensei in the Soul Society. Like, all of them are on their own quests, getting stronger, trying to boost themselves so they're ready for the next time the invasion comes back. And then we cut back to Ichigo and the Blade God, and we actually get to see the real quote-unquote forge, and it's very cool. It's very simplistic in its design. It's just a big open room, but it's lower than sea level, and then you got the sea pouring in through all these different caves in the wall. It's really cool imagery. Blade God introduces his bodyguards, and each one of them has their own like little quirk. Like, one of them carves away the rock that forms to make a solid forge. One of them ignites the spark. One of them cries a bunch of fucking tears so they can quench the blade. One of them like carves out a tooth so it can become the hammer, and then one of them uses their long ass ponytails to hold the sword in the forge. What the fuck? Doesn't matter. It's just funny, cool imagery that they're using to kind of show how quirky this guy is when he's making all the swords and like all the different stuff that he uses. So he's speaking to Ichigo, and he's just telling him a little bit, just being like, hey, so you understand why it turned white, right? And Ichigo's like, not really. And so he tells him a little bit. He's like, yeah, so the sword is the hollow. And then he tells him, yeah, you realize Zangetsu isn't actually Zangetsu. And this is where it gets a little fuzzy for me. We're delving deep, both metaphorically and literally, because Ichigo's inner world is about to get fucking flooded all over again. Turns out, the image of Zangetsu that we've been seeing, the guy with the long hair, long black cloak, a little bit of stubble, weird Gurren Lagann sunglasses, that is the imagery of Yhwach from like 1,000 years ago. And this, as they say, as he says, Yhwach Zangetsu guy, he is the source of Ichigo's Quincy powers. And so it is revealed, I've tried to suppress your actual Soul Reaper powers this entire time. So basically, anytime that you've been in a pickle, the person or the part of you that saved you has never been me, it's been the hollow side of you. Because there are 87 goddamn different spirits inside of Ichigo. So the hollow always saves him whenever he's in peril, which is very evident to see anytime he hollowifies right before he fucking dies. Yhwach Zangetsu, whatever the fuck you want to call him. I'm just going to keep calling him Zangetsu right for right now. Zangetsu is just, I gave you Quincy power in order to help fuel your overall power so you could then beat other people. All this time, I've been trying not to make you a Soul Reaper, but you keep going down that fucking path. And at this point, I'm not even, like, I know I can't stop you, so I'm just trying to help you in any way that I can because I'm not really your enemy, but I'm also not really your ally. I'm kind of like a father figure who's been with you, watching you grow all this time. It gets very emotional very quickly, and I'm just like, oh god, what the fuck is happening? And then Zangetsu just starts vanishing. He starts dissolving away because he's like, yeah, I am no more. I am the old Zangetsu, kind of, also Yhwach. Very confusing still. This, and he draws a giant fucking blue sword thing. He's like, this is your true power. I am going now. All the power you've been using up to this point, as far as Soul Reaper power, has been the fragments of Soul Reaper power that I haven't been able to suppress. So now, here is your full power as a Soul Reaper. Take it. And he completely dissolves away. And I'm just sitting here, like, thinking in my head, the fucking meme, this is only 1% of my power. And I was like, did Kubo really just do that to us for over 300 goddamn episodes?
He might have. He might have.
Okay. But as this is happening, oh, fuck, Joe. Number 1 starts coming in. And it's the remix. And it's so beautiful. And the entire time, it's a cheat code.
I'm gonna cry.
It's a cheat code.
Oh my god.
It's illegal. It should be illegal, Joe. He can't do it. They can't do it to me. They just punch him in the heart. They're just like, you motherfucker, you're gonna get emotional, and you're gonna get so fucking hyped, you're gonna feel the blood pumping through your fucking veins. And I'm like, you can't do this to me. And the song just kept going, and the vocals come in, and I'm like, it's fucking happening. Oh, I loved it. All the visuals, everything at this point. From the black and white inner world with like the magenta overtones.
It's so good to see that. Like, it's been so long since we've been there, and to see it in the modern art, I loved it.
Yeah, Ichigo's inner world looks amazing. The lighting from both the blue sword and the different magenta touches, because obviously the magenta is the Soul Reaper side of him, the blue is the Quincy side of him. Amazing. And of course, as this music is swelling and Ichigo's grasping his own power for the first time, he grabs the unforged blade in the forge in the most overpowered protagonist way possible. He just pumps them, as Blade God says, full of his... The hentai tag was coming in there for a second. It almost got there. I swept it away. Full of spiritual pressure. That's what he pumps them full of. And again, in just the most overpowered power fantasy way possible, his power evaporates the fucking sea around them. We get the big manga panel reveal in the anime of Ichigo holding the 2 swords of his true Zanpakuto. And in the end, the harem is just so like, oh my god, he's got 2 Zanpakuto, what the fuck? Funnily parallels, when Rukia is just like, holy shit, that's a big Zanpakuto when he first gets his Soul Reaper powers. The 2 Zanpakuto represent his hollow and his Quincy powers, because when they dissolve and he's talking about them, the one side is like the hollow side, and the one side like shows the Zangetsu Yhwach, whatever the fuck it is. But the swords are still Zangetsu, I think. is the name, because that's I think is what he calls. I don't really know. Give me your perspective on some of this shit.
In order to really, really, really fully understand the Quincy stuff, we have to get Yuhaba's background story, which you're not going to get for a little while, but there is a lot more to it. We know he's the father of all Quincy's. How did he do that, right? How did he create them, start this? All that's behind. So that's where Ichigo gets his powers, and why it appears like Yuhaba is because it's specifically an act. It's his blood. The way I think of it, Joe, is he's a Soul Reaper, right? But he has both Hollow and Quincy powers within him. You know, his one side represents Soul Reaper mixed with Hollow, and the other Soul Reaper mixed with Quincy. It's a lot. It looked phenomenal. I loved every single second of it. I'm so hyped. I couldn't ask for anything more. But there is one tiny little thing we need to talk about. Very end, Joe. See a little something. We get a little, post-credit scene. And what happened in it?
We finally return to the weird in-between dimension where Yuhaba has been banished to, along with like his Vonderreich and all the other Sternritters and shit like that. And the pretty boy Sternritter has returned, and of course, he's returned with our good boy Uryu. Uryu has joined the Vonderreich, and I'm not totally convinced he's like drank the Kool-Aid and he's fully like, oh yeah, I'm totally a part of this guy's crew, because I hate the Soul Reapers and all that sort of stuff. I don't think he's there yet. I'm curious to see if he has a longer game at play here, which I'm assuming is what's going on with him, because knowing Uryu, he's always thinking many steps ahead. Or is it something where he's going to be like corrupted over a period of time and end up becoming much more like the other Sternritters that we've seen? I don't really know. It is very intriguing to say the least, especially when you pair it. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Joe, but there was a trailer put out today. This trailer comes out, and so Jonah, we've been talking about this a little bit previously, because at the Jump Fest event, they were talking, like with some of the people working on the show were talking, I think the director was saying like he was finishing up some scripts and shit like that. And that got in a lot of people's heads like, oh, if we're finishing up scripts, we're probably still a long way away from actually getting part 2. Because, like, you have to get all the writing down. You have to then put that into the storyboards, like all the planning and all this sort of shit. So we were expecting, we're not going to get part 2 of this thing until, like, next year, like next October. But they dropped a trailer after the finale. And in this trailer, not only did you get some fucking awesome imagery of the 2 new swords that Ichigo has that just they look so fucking cool. You also get a couple flashes from some scenes in part 2, very, very, very brief, which I appreciate. It's like, here are some really cool looking things, and Joe, we don't have to wonder if this is like just trailer footage or this is show footage, because now we know from the previous trailers, this is just what the fucking show looks like. Holy shit! At the end, we do hear Uryu talking a little bit, and he's just like, ooh, he's sounding a little menacing here. And that is paired with the release date, which is COUR 2, July of 2023, baby. It is going to be split COUR, so we're going to get a break of a COUR, but then it's coming back in the summer. Holy shit. I'm so happy.
I didn't think we were going to get visuals. When I saw it was just like the swords and voiceover, I'm like, okay, it's just going to be like this and then a date. But when I saw the visuals, the actual animation, I was shook. I'm like, give me it, please. It was just so much closer than I thought. And I was
yes.
I was honestly like, oh my God, like, wow, that is not what I was expecting. They're keeping on pace. Like, we're cruising. Like, we're going to go on a little break and it's going to come right back.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I feel like most of like what we talked about in this COUR 1 finale hasn't actually been any kind of like immense critique. Like, there was another part where they used a fucking screen kind of a thing, just looking in at Miori and like also this shit. And it's like at this point, dude, number one, is still playing in my head. My critical analysis skills have gone through the fucking floor. They are in the strata of the earth. I can't critique anything right now, except that thing that I critiqued up top with Urahara. Anyway, thinking back to where we started in the beginning of COUR 1 to where we are now, oh my, like the amount of ground we've covered, the animation quality of everything, the storytelling that's been on display, the attention to detail and the amount of care that's been put into this. To everyone at Studio Pierrot, to Kubo, everyone else that's worked on this thing, fucking bravo, dude. This it's incredible. I am the happiest. I'm one of the happiest Bleach sluts on the face of planet Earth right now. And how many other people do you think can say those exact words in that exact order, Joe?
I sit here, I look at my Bleach, my Ichigo figure in front of me, my Bleach playmat down at my desk, my Ichigo figure behind me, my Bleach t-shirt, my newly acquired Bleach hollow Ichigo mask tattoo. I think to myself, only one thing. Bleach sluts for life.
Fucking Bleach sluts for life, baby. Everyone, Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War, Core 1. It has wrapped up. Day after Christmas, 2022. Holy shit, it has been one hell of a ride. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're going to be getting back on that ride come summertime. We only have a season of anime to wait. We got to get through winter, technically spring, but like then it starts up in summer. I hope I hope you guys have enjoyed Bleach as much as we have this entire season. It has been one hell of a ride. Thank you everyone for listening. Everyone, with all that being said, as always, remember, we'll love you, we'll leave you. Bleach sluts for life, baby, and goodbye.